Hey, what's up guys? In this video, we're going to be talking about exactly where on your car you should install your laser jammers for the maximum level of performance and protection. In the last video, we talked about how many laser jammers you need for your car, so if you haven't watched that one, go ahead and watch that one first. Once you know how many laser jammers you need for your car, in this video we're going to be talking about where in your car they should be placed. So to do it, we're going to be taking a look at my ALP setup guide. One of the sections goes over proper head placement, and so this is what we're going to be referring to. I'll have a link to this complete setup guide in the video description. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Now, in the last section, we talked about what the main targets are of a car for a LiDAR gun. We've got the headlights as well as kind of the center mass area. Now, to defend against that, here's going to be your standard dual. Here's going to be your standard dual head setup. You can see we've got one head over here on one side of the grill. We've got another head over here on the other side of the grill. The heads themselves, generally you'll want to have spaced no more than about 24 inches apart or so. 25 or 26, that's okay, but that's kind of the rule of thumb as far as how far apart you want the two heads from each other with the ALPs. They're going to protect kind of this oval-shaped area here on your car. And you'll notice with this placement here, they're going to be covering the headlights on both sides. They'll also reach down to cover the fog light area, and there's also some overlap here in the center for your grille and also your front license plate if you happen to be running one. As far as height, it would be preferable to run them up a little bit higher, and the reason this is the case is let's say you're driving and you're just coming up to a hill and you're cresting a hill. The heads being a little bit higher in your grille versus maybe down here means that they're going to do a little bit better job at protecting you when you're first cresting a hill. So a little bit higher placement would be more optimal. So if you take a look at this is actually exactly what I'm running here on my car, in my Miata. I've got two heads installed on either side of the grille, and it's pretty much installed just like the picture. With this location, they're going to be covering my headlights, my fog lights, as well as my front license plate and the entire front of my car. So this is going to be kind of your classic textbook install for two heads. You can see on my car, I actually did have to have a professional custom cut holes in my grille to install them in this location. So depending on what type of car you have, you may need to cut your grille to put them in this location. Your grille may be kind of nice and have these beautiful horizontal slats, which are super jammer friendly. So it's really going to kind of come down to what type of car you're driving. But in terms of just location, this is what you're going to aim for. Next, we're going to go ahead and take a look at maybe some slightly less than optimal locations, but the ones that would still work. A good classic example is going to be a BMW. They've got the kidney grills, and in their kidney grills, they've got these vertical slats. Now, the ALPs need to be installed horizontally, and typically they're not going to quite fit here in the slats. You could put them behind the grill, but they're not going to work very well. You could put them in front of the grill, and that would work, but it's going to be kind of ugly. So for aesthetic reasons, you could choose to install them a little bit lower down here on the vehicle. One of the nice things about the ALPs is because they're more sensitive than some of the previous generation heads, we can actually get away with installing them here down here in this location, which may look a little bit better and may actually be a little bit easier to install as well. Down here, because they are quite sensitive, they're still going to be able to cover the headlight area and reach up here in this area as well. A quick note, some of the previous generation laser jammers, because they weren't as sensitive as the ALP, you could install them down low, but they weren't quite as solid and reliable, and it was, very likely that you could actually get punch throughs up here because the jammers were down there. I did a whole video talking about some of the benefits of the ALPs being more sensitive than previous gen jammers, and this is kind of one of the examples. If you want to know more of them, you can click the link in the video description or click on the link at the top right hand corner of your screen. That'll give you more information about that. But you can see for some cars, it may be preferable rather than installing up here in kind of the main section of the grille to maybe install them a little bit lower. I've seen this with Cadillacs, BMWs are also a just perfect example. So that's going to be another location as well. Now, let's say you want to do a triple head install. As we talked about in the last video regarding how many heads you need, if you've got a physically larger car, like a wide sports car, a truck, an SUV, you may need a third head to cover the center of the vehicle here. So you have one over on either side reaching out to cover the headlights, and you have the third one right here in the center, especially if you've got a front license plate. Now, I have seen actually dual head installs on, Corvettes, on Porsches, even some SUVs, and they've tested out quite well, believe it or not, even with 2 heads. But what we found is 3 heads works better typically on larger vehicles, as well as some of those variable pulse rate anti-jamming guns, again, as we talked about in the last video. So if you're going for a 3-head install, this is kind of what you're looking for. You've got 1, 2, and 3. As far as exactly where they should be, like depending on your grill and kind of what's behind the grill, it might be preferable to install it here, or maybe it'll make more sense to install it right there. Once you actually get into your car and take a look at the engine bay and what's behind the grill, you may find moving it over a few inches here or there may be necessary. So I'm going to kind of give you the general idea as far as the where you want to have them installed in your car, but once you get in there, you might need to tweak things a little bit here and there. Now, moving right along, let's take a look at an example of a triple head install on a Jeep. So we've got an SUV here. You can see we've got 1, 2, and 3. So this is going to be kind of your standard triple head install for a larger vehicle such as an SUV. What I want to point out here is the fact that the 3 heads are actually in line. You'll notice they're all 1, 2, 3. They're all in line with each other. This would be preferable. It's not necessary, but this would be preferable. There are some situations where you can't install them all in line because maybe you have like the logo of a vehicle in the way, right? If that's the case, it's okay to drop one of them down a little bit lower or maybe raise it up a little bit higher. Lower may be better just to kind of cover, because it's a bigger vehicle, you can drop it down a little lower, and it would also cover the front plate area, especially, you've got a big, nice, shiny chrome grille. This would definitely be a good idea here. Now, as far as how far away you should move this head, a good rule of thumb is maybe about 6 inches higher or lower, plus minus. You can do it 7 or 8. That's okay. It's not like the end of the world and suddenly your jammers are not going to work or anything. It's not that sort of thing. But what you're going to want to aim for is about 6 inches up or down, above or below this line right here. So that's going to be a good idea. And again, the exact placement options might vary. You can see we got some slats here, so we might have to do it just to one side of the grill or the other. But again, once you get in there, you'll find the exact placement. This is going to be just kind of the general idea of what we want to aim for. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our rear installs. So the rear install is typically going to be more straightforward. More cars are similar in the rear as far as placement than they are in the front. And typically what you're going to aim for is you've got your rear license plate like this, and there's kind of this overhang area where you've got kind of like a trunk release, and there's usually the little license plate lights, right? So usually you're going to have a nice convenient spot to place your heads. You'll do one on either side, kind of over on the edge. One head will cover over here for this tail light area. This one will cover this tail light area. Pretty self-explanatory. Having the little license plate lights, typically that's where you'll pop those lights out and you'll run your cables up in there for power and connecting to the CPU, and that's actually how you'll wire it up. So that's typically what people do as far as rear installs. Now, again, cars do vary and the designs of cars do vary. Let's take a look at this example. Here is an Infiniti G37S. We've tested a couple of these, and some of these cars can be a little bit tougher. The reason I say that is you'll notice the license plate is way down here, right? The 2 heads are pretty close together. We can't get them over here towards the edge, and we also can't get them up here towards, 2 big target areas, which are these big, huge taillights. And so it's for that reason that we've got a pretty large distance over here. Now, again, the ALPs are pretty sensitive, and one of the nice benefits is because, on this car, our location is less than ideal, we can still get away with a less than ideal install, and this would actually test out all right. I've tested a couple Infinitis like this, and they've worked out okay. Now, a quick note about previous generation jammers, like your blinders, and LIs, escorts, that kind of thing. What we found is with those ones, having to install it up here was more necessary because the heads weren't quite as sensitive. So typically what people would do is they would have to put a bracket somewhere back here and install their heads on the trunk here, actually sticking out away from the car. And, it was a little bit uglier. It didn't look as good, but it was kind of necessary for the sake of performance. Now that we've got the ALPs, because they're more sensitive, this is okay. Again, this would be more ideal in terms of protection, but this is still doable with the ALPs. A quick note about the brackets. The way you actually connect these heads is you could actually maybe use double stick tape. I don't recommend it. I'll get into in the next video, the exact way that you place the heads on your car, but typically the idea is you've got this bracket that your head actually sits inside, and inside your grill, back behind it, you'll hook this up to something, a piece of metal in your engine bay, maybe to the grill itself. It's going to depend on your car, of course, but the idea is the head is going to be connected to the bracket, and it's what's behind the grill that's also going to be very important in terms of how you do the actual install. So that's kind of something to keep in mind once you get in there. But speaking specifically regarding placement, this is kind of what you're going to be looking at. Usually you're going to be aiming for kind of just over the license plates. So let's go ahead and take a look now as far as some of the fine-tuning stuff. With some cars, I totally get it. Like, not everybody wants to cut holes in their car, into their grills. Some cars are kind of expensive. I totally get it. Not everybody's comfortable with that. With some cars, unfortunately, it's kind of unavoidable, and there's not a good place to install a head without doing some cutting. And so let me give you a couple options if you're running into this situation. So one thing that you could do is you could hop on eBay and you could look for maybe an aftermarket third-party grill with a different design. You could look for one that has kind of these, classic traditional horizontal slats. Like, these are awesome. These are super jammer friendly. Like, after a little while, you start looking at grills and you're like, that would be an awesome place to install jammers, Unfortunately, with some cars, there really isn't a good location, so some cutting may be required. So you could look into aftermarket third-party grills with a different design. If you like the current design of your grill, but you don't want to cut into it, maybe it's a leased car or something, you could buy a replacement grill that's the same design and cut into that one. And then once you return your car at the end of the lease, you could put your original grill back in. So that would be an option as well. Or, if you're cool with it, you could actually cut into your factory grill. That's actually what I had done with my car, and I'm not actually that comfortable and experienced with cutting holes into cars, that kind of stuff. So I actually had a professional do it for me, and he did a great job, and I'm really happy with his work. So if you're in the same boat and you're not comfortable doing it yourself, you can have a professional actually take care of the dremeling of your grill for you. You may need to have some custom brackets installed behind the grill or what have you, but again, you'll kind of figure that stuff out as you go. Another thing that we can talk about, before we get to that, here's just a quick example of a grill where you can see here's another one where the heads were cut into the grill and it looks pretty good. When you do a good job, it doesn't actually stick out that much. So I know a lot of people are concerned about that. Not everybody wants to cut into the grill. Totally get it. I didn't have to do it on my last car, but I did on my current one. Here's just a good example of an Audi S6 where the heads were cut into the grill and it looks pretty good. So it can definitely be doable. Now, coming back to aesthetics, just kind of some creative ideas that you can do to help improve maybe the look of your car if you're concerned with the look of the jammers. Here's an example of a Porsche GT4, the Cayman, and you can see there's actually this bracket that's been fabricated here for just above the license plate. So rather than installing just the heads and having these little kind of round black blobs that would kind of stick out a little bit, you can see this installer actually fabricated a custom mount for the jammers to sit inside. So now it looks like just this one long black piece, and the heads don't stick out individually as much. So you can do kind of some creative ideas and some stuff like this just can improve the look of your installation. So again, just one example I wanted to share with you, something that I saw that was pretty cool. So what you can do now is, when you go take a look at your car, this is kind of the general idea of what you're going to aim for. Again, the exact placement of where you install it, maybe a little bit right there or right there or right there. If you don't have it, connected directly to the grill, especially if you're going to be attaching it to a bracket, and a lot of it may come down to what's behind the grill. So the exact placement is going to maybe vary once you take a look at what's in your car. This is just the general idea. Now, as far as some recommendations for your specific car, because I know every car is a little bit different, we have a section over on RDF you can take a look at. It's the section of the forum for laser jammer placement suggestions. And the idea is you can go over here and post a picture of your car. And people will actually give you suggestions and recommendations on, looking at your car, what would be the ideal places for you. So what you can do is you can post a picture of your car. If you're running a front plate, it may be a good idea to blur it out or black it out for privacy reasons, but nonetheless, you can see this guy actually went up here and, I'm looking for suggestions for parking sensors for my car. And you can see he's given his two ideas. You don't have to, give your recommendations on what you think would work, but you totally can. That's cool too. You can see he's got two options here as far as red, and he's got the options here as far as, the green options. And the question is, which one is better? Where should I install? And then, if you scroll down, you'll see a bunch of debates and people saying, oh, I like the red, some people like the green, and you'll even get some suggestions from people of like, hey, I've got the same car. I found that maybe this option is better or this option is better due to kind of what's behind the grill in terms of the actual installation itself, in addition to the actual location. So this is a great resource, and I would definitely recommend that you check it out. Another great resource, there's another section of the forum It's the section for show off your install. So this is for people who have completed an install, whether it's radar detectors, laser jammers, any of that kind of stuff. And you'll see people will actually go in and they'll post pictures of their installs. Like, here's one. I thought I'd like to share my setup. And this is awesome. So if you want to see examples of other people's installs, go take a look at this. And this is a great resource as well. Something I do want to point out is not everybody who is showing off their install here has done it properly, right? This is anybody can post here and hey, here's what I've done. And so whenever you go take a look at anything here, take a look at the installs and then also definitely scroll down. Like here, I'll just pick this one at random. So I want to share my setup, and this guy has a bunch of pictures. Oh, this one's pretty cool. So you can see he's got radar detectors and dash cams, and he's got even Waze right here running on a tablet, all this kind of stuff. And so he'll have a bunch of pictures, and you'll see a version of a jet cockpit. Very nice and organized. So you'll see different comments. And, if there's anything bad, people will say, hey, take a look at this. Keep an eye out for that. Maybe you should change this or whatever. If it's really good, people will get comments. So anyways, definitely scroll down and take a look at stuff, and you'll get some really cool ideas on installation. You'll learn from other people's installs, good and bad. And again, this is a great resource as well. It's the show off your install section of RDF. And I'll post a link down in the video description to this section, as well as the laser jammer placement suggestions section. So definitely take a look in the video description for some helpful links. So anyways, this is kind of the general idea that you want to aim for when it comes to proper head placement on your vehicle. So now that you've watched this, what I would recommend as far as the next step is the next stage is we're going to be talking about, now that we know where on our car the heads should be placed, we're going to be talking about how exactly the heads should be placed to make sure that they work. This is something that I've seen a lot of people make mistakes on. So I'm going to show you a lot of mistakes that people have done, and I'm going to show you how you should do it properly. So you can go ahead and click on the link you can see on screen or down in the video description to watch the next video. Or if you want to read over the guide, again, I'll put a link down in the video description to where you can read over this as well if you prefer the reading version. If you need to go ahead and purchase your ALPs, you'll also find a link in the video description to where you can go buy them. So bunch of links down there, and I'll go ahead and see you either on the website or in the next video. So awesome. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.